Welcome back to the Tabletop Podcast.
Episode 3.
Oh, it's exciting, Kurt. 3
Who'd have
weeks
thought?
in.
Who'd have thought we'd make it this far?
Yeah, I
3
know.
weeks.
It's been 3 weeks, mate. How you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Me too. I've got a bit of a confidence boost. I feel like we had a hit last week, keeping it funny. We had a hit the week before. I'm happy. The podcast is doing very well.
Do you know what? It's been so much more of a success
Yes,
than
exactly.
I originally
Yeah.
thought it would be.
It's very nice.
Do you know what it is as well? I think there was a lot more people interested to listen.
Yeah.
More than we thought.
Yeah, than we thought. And I actually checked our Spotify statistics. I think there's only a handful of people, but I don't think they're not from the UK. Only a certain amount of our viewers most of our viewers are from the UK. So unless we've got friends in other countries, which I don't think I do,
I mean,
we
I
might
don't
have a few
any.
random listeners listening right now, which is nice. We're getting a bit of a base going, which is love. And I thank everyone for the support we've got as well, because it's, as I said, it gives us a confidence boost receiving messages about what you enjoyed on a podcast and interacting with us. It's nice. Well, what day is it today, Kurt?
Today, February the 14th, the Big V.
The Big V. The Big V. It is Valentine's Day.
Another Valentine's Day without a girlfriend.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I was going to ask, you got any potential Valentines, but I think you've answered that.
Let me think about this. Let me check my messages. Nope. I'm trying to think. The only one I can think of is my dog Boss.
He's
Big
your Valentine,
Boss.
is he? Big Boss.
Well, you know, he spent the night in my room. I mean, he he slept in the room.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, we don't need to hear anything else,
no
Kurt.
funny
We don't need to
business.
hear anything else.
He woke me up at 3-4 in the morning. He was he was licking his leg, and while doing that, somehow managed to kick me.
Oh.
And I wasn't impressed, so I yelled at him. So I've already had my first Valentine's Day argument.
Yeah. Well, I had an interesting message from my nan this morning wishing me a happy Valentine's Day, which is it's lovely. So I'll tell you, that's a Valentine. Ain't my nan's my Valentine.
I mean, it's better than a dog.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. It's a human being at least.
No need to rub it in.
Yeah. Well, aside from Valentine's Day, Kurt, how's things going? With let's say college, for example. How's college?
College is college. I mean, it has its highs. It doesn't really have any highs. It's got more lows.
Yes. Lots of lows.
Waking up, flicking on the laptop. I join the call on my phone, and then I spend most of the time on the laptop playing games.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm learning bricklaying on a laptop. There is programs apparently to install to almost do, but even my teacher turned around to me and went, "Don't bother installing them. It's just a waste of money. You can't learn to lay bricks on a computer."
I was going to say that must be a difficult profession to learn from a laptop.
It really baffles me.
Yeah.
It really does. I think the main problem with trying to is we all started laying bricks in my course. I'm already a year behind. I'm on level 2. I've not done level 1.
Yeah.
I've passed my exams, like all the ones that I needed to catch up. And just as literally the day before the first lockdown, I sat my 201, I believe it was called, and passed it. Don't know how. I knew none of the questions. I sat there going, "What?" Like they were asking me questions about just anything and everything to do with building on site, and I'm like, I've not even been on a site, so I'm just gonna guess. But I guessed my way through it, like I do with most things, like all my GCSEs, for example.
I can imagine that most of like the health and safety questions, that's sort of just common sense stuff.
It is and it isn't, because there were questions on there. One of the questions which really confused me because I didn't know the answer. I'm pretty sure I got it wrong in the end. It just said what was needed to be on site, otherwise, like a part of regulations, and it was a toilet, a staff room, a place for like people to eat, a place for people to get changed, and I'm like, all of them, but you could only pick one.
Oh.
And I was like, well, toilet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was the toilet.
That'd be the
I'm pretty
logical.
sure it was the toilet. But then I also learned that you legally need to have somewhere to like wash your hands.
Yeah.
Like there's not. So if you're working in someone's garden, you're not allowed to claim their sink. So
Oh.
you have to bring a bucket with you.
You have to
Put
have
it
your
with
own
water.
washing facilities.
It doesn't make sense, but it does because
Yeah.
obviously, like if you're working for someone, they're gonna let you use their
Yeah.
sink. But if they are like they don't want you in the house
Yeah.
using their sink,
You need some other
you
way
know,
to do it as
you
well.
need
yeah.
you need to
Especially
show-
with this pandemic going on, you can imagine you probably have to bring your own sanitisation stuff, didn't you?
stuff like that. But then this is before all that.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's weird. I think I'm in the same similar boat. I'm doing an apprenticeship. I'm doing an engineering course at college, and we've been doing it for months and months by the computer, and it's just getting more and more difficult to find stuff to type up. The point we've just sitting watching PowerPoints go by about stuff we already know, and to be fair, it just means I get a day off on a Monday. I just have to join a call and I play Xbox all day. So
Yeah, I mean, to
can't
be honest,
complain.
my teacher does that. He in my very first lesson, I think it was we were in there for about 2.5 hours. I think there was, and within the first 5 minutes, he said, "If I don't answer you, just keep yelling my name. I am playing World of Tanks." And I
Yes.
said, "Can you invite me? I want to join."
He sounds like a legend, your teacher.
Do you know what? He's one of the best laughs that I've ever It's
Yeah.
just he's making like dirty jokes all the time. Like even
Yeah.
in when we were in college, he
Yeah.
was probably the biggest joker.
Yeah.
I remember once I was walking back from the Grays town to the college, and he was just standing on a bridge, and he saw the kids on the the other kids in my class, and obviously I'm not hanging out with them because I'm a loner. But so I'm walking away, and he seen me. I said, "Oh," I walked off. I turned around, and he just stood there staring at them, just they were going to be late for lesson. So he thought, I'm just going to annoy him. So he just followed them. He just went behind them and followed them. And he was about 10 minutes late to lesson, but he followed every single one of them. And then when in lesson, he went, "All right, so why were you late?" And they didn't know he was there. So they were just like BSing it. And he was just like, "Well, that's not true. You went in Greg's."
Yeah, he's followed them the whole way. He
was
sounds
like,
like a legend. He
He's
sounds like
such a
legend.
funny guy.
I've got 4 or 5 tutors that we've had throughout the year so far, and one or two of them are pretty calm. They're quite relaxed and do. We've got this new tutor on a start off on Monday, and he's straight out of university.
By the look.
Oh my, so much by the book. He's so boring. Just PowerPoint after PowerPoint. We join a call. The lesson is 3 hours long on
Yeah,
a Monday
that's same.
morning. We join this call, and he just shares his screen of a PowerPoint. We get to the end half an hour, and he tells us to type some notes up or do some research on this. And I just question it to myself. I just go, "You've got a PowerPoint there. If you just put that PowerPoint in the Teams chat, I could look through that on my own time through the day, 10 times quicker than you demonstrated to me, and then just give me the task, and I'll do it in an hour."
Thing is, that's what my teacher's been doing recently, but he doesn't like doing it.
Yeah.
Like I can tell he doesn't because he'd rather talk about his budgie.
Yeah.
So like,
He's just trying to get the lesson done. He's just trying to.
we'll be doing a lesson and he'll just go, "Can anyone else hear that?" And I'm like, "What? Hear what?" Like, so I turn my volume up, and he goes, "It's my budget."
It's budgie. He's got a budgie.
And I'm like, "Oh!" And somebody was drilling, and he's on the floor above him. And, it was so fun. He was getting so annoyed. He genuinely, like, after about 2 hours, he got up, went up there, just like, "Can you stop drilling at the moment, please?"
Trying
And
to-
he came
trying
back
to do a
down,
lesson.
and within about 5 minutes, they were drilling again, and he was just cursing about it. It was so funny.
No, it's weird. It's weird how we've got the opportunity, haven't we, at the moment to obviously with modern technology, phones, computers, tablets, everything. It gives us the opportunity that we can do most of our work from home.
It
Obviously,
does make you wonder, doesn't it?
our
Like,
professions are difficult to do anywhere else but
Yes.
on site. But most things you can do a lot of the theory learning from home, which is good.
I could buy some bricks.
Yeah.
Get some mortar, get some lime.
You made a good point the other day, though, Kurt. What would have happened if this all kicked off? This whole coronavirus thing was 20 years ago.
Like 20, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, it was internet. Like, not every household had internet.
No.
You know, most people, they wouldn't have
Yeah.
like phones that can go on the internet.
Yeah.
It was just
If we're talking about the early 2000s here, you know, it's probably when massive spike of technology,
Oh, yeah,
everything
it
was
was the
starting to get there.
start.
But if we go, I mean, obviously we were babies, but from knowledge here, we can see, you know, not everyone had bloody iPhones.
Well, I
Not
think
everyone
the
had
biggest thing,
laptops.
the biggest thing is streaming platforms.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about you, Alex, but I would be lost without Netflix,
Oh God, yeah,
Amazon, Disney,
yeah.
all of
YouTube.
them.
Oh,
Like-
it'd be horrible.
Imagine having to just sit at home with your whole family in the sitting room watching just normal
Oh,
Sky.
just
Freeview
imagining
TV.
right now this life we'd have at the moment without any technology, without an Xbox, without a
I
phone,
wouldn't be
without a
able
laptop,
to
without
listen to the, you know, the
Netflix
mama,
and-
mama milkshake,
Yeah.
that bit, that. Imagine that every morning.
every single morning. It would kill me.
cry.
On top of the fact that, can you imagine how difficult already it is to study a bricklaying course from home? Now imagine you're trying to do that course and you've signed up for that course this year, but it would get written off for the
Be an
year.
instant
You wouldn't be
foul,
able to do
wouldn't it? Yeah.
anything. You'd have to wait till next year. Obviously, exams have been cancelled already, but then think of every other year that it's still learning. So, you know, year 11s have had their exams cancelled, but year 10 are still learning, so they'll probably sit their exams next year. But that wouldn't be able to happen if it was 20 years ago, because everyone would be missing out on learning for months and months and months. But it makes you think, because everything that's going on with the lockdown, and I'm trying not to get political here, but do you really think that if this happened 20 years ago, we would be in a lockdown as severe as we are now?
I almost feel as well travel's become a bit more like it's
Mm.
easier to go around, to get around. Like, so I'd say in the last 20 years, I feel like, you know, like Dubai is
Yeah.
a very popular place
Yeah.
for like just people,
Yeah.
especially during this lockdown.
Yeah.
It's like one of the biggest topics.
Yeah.
But I feel like 20 years ago, I almost feel like we'd just be like, we'll firm it. Like,
Yeah, I'm thinking in my head here, it's just sort of, at the moment, I feel like it's exaggerated as much as it is, and it's as big as it is, like lockdown-wise, because we've got the ability to do stuff from home, that they can afford to risk the exams being cancelled because people can still learn from home. But 20 years ago, when that option's out of the window, you haven't got the option to send kids home from school because they can learn from home. If you had to close schools 20 years ago, that's it. Every single one of those kids isn't learning for however long the schools are closed. There's so many, you know, people working, people that have office jobs that can now do them from home wouldn't have been able to do that 20 years ago.
And I also feel a lot of them are happy to do it.
Yes,
And I feel like if more people actually wanted to go back into their workspace,
Yeah.
I think that would make a difference. But so many people are just so content
Yeah.
of just going, I'll just do it.
Yeah, just do it. And that's what I mean. Because we've got the ability to do it now, it's almost like everyone wants to do it because
Problem is it
we
isn't
go
as
into
efficient.
lockdown. That's why we're in lockdown.
Yeah.
It's because we've got the ability to do it. We can afford to lock the country down. But we wouldn't have had a lockdown if this happened 20 years ago because people wouldn't be able to work from home. So if you close workplaces, that's it. Nobody's making any money. If you close schools, that's it. Kids aren't learning. They couldn't afford to. The country would shut down 10 times quicker than it is now.
Yeah, like I think another problem is it's just so much easier. Like, and they get comfortable. Obviously, working at your home is so much more chill
Yeah.
than if you were in like a workplace.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's too easy. Like, nobody's there pushing stuff, like going, "Oh, come on, get
Yeah.
back to work." You haven't got your boss watching
Yeah.
you.
Well, yeah.
I feel
Everyone.
like people they take it so much more
Yeah,
chill.
it's a lot easier. Your work becomes a lot easier when you're working from home, doesn't it? So,
Like, I just feel like people just wake up, they go, "All right, time for my work."
yeah, it's an interesting subject, Kurt. I would have loved to have been around in a situation back then, I wouldn't have. But
I was going to say, you'd probably prefer to go back normally.
yeah,
just 20 years ago.
but anyways, Kurt, we put a poll out this week.
That we did.
Another
That we
one.
did.
So last week, I don't think we got as much backlash as we thought we would from the pineapple and pizza discussion.
I
last
think the
week.
problem is, as I said to you during that podcast, the majority of people are going to say no.
Yeah.
That's obvious. But then that's not really. That's just because it's a specific type of food.
Yeah.
You know, naturally, not that many people probably even like
No.
pineapple. So to then take the people who only like it on pizza,
Yeah.
it's even less. I had a feeling that'd be the case. But as we said on that, you know, it was a good
Yes.
discussion.
Well, this week, a bit more controversial. Well, I wouldn't say controversial. I'd say
It's more level.
we've actually got a split decision here. We don't
do.
have the same views on it, Kurt.
Yes.
So, for anyone
you're
that
wrong.
didn't see, we put a poll out this week
How many
asking.
responses was there?
We asked if you stand or sit when you wipe your bum after you poo. Now, it might sound like an odd conversation, but I've heard a lot of arguments on the internet about this. Personally, I
Make
stand.
out social
Until
justice
2
warrior.
weeks ago, when we had this argument with a group of our friends, I didn't even know people sat when they wiped. I didn't even know it. And obviously, the reason we're having this argument is because you are a sitter, Kurt.
Yes.
First of all, why? Why do you sit?
Right, don't come at me with
Outrageous.
this. Why? Right. More people, and we found out through this poll,
Yep.
sit. Right?
Yep.
It's the natural way. All right? There's a reason. Otherwise, you would just squat when you go for a toilet normally. Your body is naturally made to squat when you go to
Yes.
do a number 2.
Yes.
Right? So the fact that there's a seat there anyway, you know, you might as well use the seat. So then people just started sitting when they go number 2.
Yeah.
And then they must have gone, all right, well, I'm just going to wipe while sitting. I'm already here.
Yeah, I can understand. It's human nature to try and make things as easy as possible for us. We'll go with the results first here, Kurt.
Yep.
We had 18 people voted to sit when they wipe, and only 8 people voted to stand when they wipe.
I also would like to say, I understand standing in a public restroom. You know,
Yes.
you're in your cubicle. You don't want to be sitting on that seat
No.
for longer than you have to.
No, absolutely not.
Personally, I try to not even sit on the seat. I will try and pop a squat.
Yeah, some of them are proper minging, aren't they? Well, we'll go with some of the arguments here. So I'll go with somebody who backs my argument. With the sitting situation, and this works probably more for public bathrooms as well, they've said, I'm a hand clean freak, and touching the rim where arses sit, poo and skid makes me sick. So I can understand, especially when it comes to public, that not only do you not want to sit on the seat,
Yes.
but having the ability to touch it with your hands is just gross.
Yes, I agree with
Sort of agree with it in the same inside your own house, but not as much because
I
you'd to
feel
think
like
it's
if you're in your own
cleaner.
house, you know, especially if it's just you,
Yeah.
for example, you know, you're all right. You
Yeah.
can take a seat.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't confuse me much, but it does confuse me how you can say, like, I need to stand, you know,
Yeah.
even though it's in my own house.
I think it's natural. It's natural for me. We'll go with some arguments for.
And now,
So-
also, before we carry
Yes.
on, I just want to say, all depends on the delivery of the poo.
Yes.
Now,
Okay.
we had this argument as well.
Yep.
You know, we both agree that, let's be honest, if you have a clean drop, I
Clean drop,
definitely
yes.
don't understand the need to stand. I'm like, you can just quickly wipe. I'm not saying don't wipe.
Yeah.
Like, I'm saying you can wipe while sitting.
Yeah.
And once you know it's clean, pull your trousers up, off you go.
Yeah.
Bob's your uncle. Have fun.
Yeah.
Like-
Well, I sort of agree in that sense. It does depend whether you've what you've had for dinner the night before, and if you've had a load of dense foods and the and
You're
you
having a
can
curry.
have a drop off that is lovely and clean. I mean, I've had some before, Kurt, where you barely even need to wipe after it comes out. It's that good. But if you've had a lovely vindaloo the night before, or you've been out on the piss and you've
Now,
come home,
I will also actually,
oh
after being out on the piss, right, and it's not in the morning afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. I will stand
yeah, it is like a water fountain.
because it's
It's
more,
already everywhere. Well,
Yeah.
if we go into the arguments, one of the arguments about standing when you is, they said, I'd rather not make a poo sandwich with my bum when standing up. I'm keeping that PG, trying not to keep all the swear words in. It's a good point in the fact,
It
like
is.
you said, if the delivery is good and you hardly even need to wipe, standing up makes it very unnecessarily messy and makes you wipe a bit more. But I don't know. I feel like you sitters here have got a weird interpretation of what we actually do. Like, we don't just stand up like a pencil and clench our arse cheeks together and give it a smush about. Like
Well,
we don't do
obviously-
that. It's like a squat. You like stand up, sort of just lift yourself off the toilet seat, give it a wipe and drop. It's no difference apart from just that little bit of effort you've got to take to get off of the toilet seat. That's all. Sorry. The dog is making a lot of noise in the background if you can hear woofing.
Yeah, I mean, big boy boss.
Yes.
Don't talk about my Valentine.
That's it. He just wants you. He wants you,
That's
doesn't he?
it.
It's Valentine's Day and he feels lonely. Oh, I can understand the arguments. I can understand.
See, although they are very, 50-50.
Yeah.
You're on one side, let's be honest. You're
Yeah.
not. There's no one in the middle. There's no
Yeah.
one going, I do both.
Yeah, nobody
Who's-
wakes up in the morning, goes for a poo and goes, I fancy standing up, and then
Although
later on
now-
sits down for it.
I reckon a few of these listeners will be like, really? Like, I
Yeah.
reckon a few people probably saw that poll
Yeah.
when there's people who do the other.
Yeah, I didn't know about it. I didn't know about it until a couple of weeks ago. But what? Oh, boss is getting angry. Boss
He
is
is
getting
getting
angry in the
angry.
background. I think we should make an agreement here, Kurt, because I don't think we're going to settle this argument today. I say that this week we try it on the other side of the pond. We try it on the other side of the pond. You try standing up for a week.
Stand up for a week.
Stand
yeah?
up while you wipe for a week, and I'll do the same. I'll sit down while I wipe, and that way we can get a taste of both sides. Well, hopefully
tell
not.
you what.
Hopefully not a taste of both sides. God, we can understand both sides, and we can come back next week and we can have a short discussion
I
about
also
our
would
findings.
like to say, I think we put a poll up next week, and anyone else listening, try it as well.
Yes,
try
do it
the
with
other
us.
way. I want to hear
And
what
tell
they
us,
say.
tell us what you think. Tell us what you think. It will be good to see what life is like on the other side, Acre. It will be
It
good
would.
to
It would be
understand how
very-
it works.
Very nice to know
Yes.
why you stand.
Yeah.
Like I'll give it a go. That's the best
Yeah.
I can do. I can't. I doubt I'm going to carry on unless I've had a few beers.
Yeah. Are we
Problem is
Are
as
we
well-
agreeing on this then? We're
Yeah,
agreeing on this.
I'm agree. Shake my hand.
Handshake. Handshake.
Yep. There we go. We've shook hands. We
Yes.
shook hands
Only-
with the hand we will wipe with.
Yeah.
So-
Only the biggest studies going on here. Only first world problems being studied on this podcast.
Look, right, we're 3 weeks in. We've already discussed how to get more pasta from the
Yes.
meal deal. Last week, we didn't really, help the world much
Yes.
with that. We discussed the world.
Yes.
So that's something. This week, we're deciding the best way to wipe your ass.
Yes. So, like you said, only the biggest studies going on. Next week, we're going to solve world hunger, aren't we? So, they're all on par with each other. Some are a little bit more important, but yeah, we'll figure it out.
That was a joke, people. Please don't
yeah.
get too triggered.
please don't cancel us. We
I
will not
didn't
be
say
solving
it
world
as
hunger.
well. So if you do want to send hate, send it to Alex. Alex Inchcombe on Instagram.
Well.
Actually, don't follow him. Just send the
Yeah.
message.
Please, well, if you want to follow.
Don't follow him.
Yeah. Right, Kurt. We've got
Yes.
a pretty interesting main topic this week.
I'm intrigued.
This is great. I've done another
I've been
print off
given a-
this week.
I've been given more paper.
Yes,
so
I've printed off. I spent
it's
a
like
while
an
on
essay.
this could spark some controversy because we might have
I
some
wonder if anyone who listens actually.
believes some of
believes
this.
some of
Well,
these,
please
yeah.
let us know if you do. If you haven't already guessed, we will be. It's probably in the title of the podcast. We're going to be discussing some conspiracy theories. Some a little bit more silly. Some we might get into a bit of a deep discussion about because it could be possible. Now, personally, I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
I can understand
Yes,
some of it.
some of
Some
them.
of it is very peculiar.
Yes.
I'd say. Like.
Yeah. It's interesting to read into
The
what
world's
some
just
information.
a bit
It is,
weird.
yes,
It's all a
everything.
bit odd.
Everything is weird.
You're
Everything.
like Epstein.
Yeah.
It's just odd how that whole
Yeah.
situation has just happened.
Yeah.
Like,
I say let's start off with some of the sillier conspiracy theories before we move on to some of the slightly more
are
understandable
you trying
ones.
to tell me the very first one on this page is silly?
Yeah. Yes.
You're trying-
Unfortunately, I am.
You're saying
The-
the flat Earth conspiracy theory, one of the biggest, Logan Paul, is a flat earther.
Yes, it is. It is extremely weird. So let's start with the flat Earth. Let's start with the flat Earth.
All right, I am happy to start with the flat Earth.
So, from what we've dug up, actually, earlier this week, we had a discussion about the flat Earth theory. And we joined a Facebook group, didn't we, Kurt? We joined
did.
a Facebook group called the Flat Earth Society. This this group was rather bizarre. So I'm just struggling to think of what to say because it's some of the arguments I've seen on there. I've been so silly. Kurt, would you please tell me what some of the stuff you've heard on there?
Some of them, one of them, which made me laugh. It said a ball doesn't hold water, and then they showed a flat ball, and I don't even like. It was a flat ball, obviously, with like somebody stood on it, and then it had water inside it, and that was their idea of flat Earth. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, there's two people that keep popping up on this group for the Flat Earth Society that keep putting the most ridiculous things. I saw the other day they put a couple of videos from a film from the 80s, I think it was, of some astronauts driving a buggy around on the moon. Now, it's clearly not the moon footage. It's not from the moon landings at all. It's from a movie. It's in HD quality. You know, there's behind-the-scenes footage of astronauts lifting their visors and everything. It's clearly not real. People in the comments have tagged the name of the film on it. Now, these people put this video on the Facebook page and turned around and said, explain this, globe-tards. Now, they keep calling us globe-tards for believing that the world is a globe.
Alex, I've just seen something on the Flat Earth Society. I loaded up Facebook. I didn't even click on the group.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody, with their bright mind, has decided to put what I can only describe as a stick on the floor.
A stick on the floor. A stick.
And they say, why is the stick touching the ground with both ends if the world is round? Now, some people like that, they've got to be trolling.
Yeah, there is a lot of trolls on. Honestly, Kurt, I look at some of these arguments, I just go, if this is for real, how have you hit your 20s and 30s and still be alive? How have you survived this long? Because it is just so silly. Let's just establish the flat Earth theory is bonkers. All you need to do is go to a high place and look across. Go to a mountain or go to the top of a hill and look dead straight. And tell me if you can see the entire planet from that side. You can see maybe depending on how high you are, you can see a couple of kilometres.
Problem is, though, is your eyes can only see so far, Alex.
Yeah.
That's their argument, is that...
Yes, but that's not the case because...
I know that's not the case, but that's their argument.
You can see the curvature of the... You can almost see it.
Their arguments are wrong, but that is their argument.
Yes. That is very much their arguments. It's a rather bizarre theory. And an even more bizarre one, Kurt, is the next one on the list, which is quite similar. It is the Hollow Earth theory.
Hollow
Earth theory, yes. It is... There is people... I've written a little bit about it on here. There is people who believe that the Earth is hollow. Well... It is a bizarre theory. So what I've written down here is the people that believe in this. There's some different beliefs, but they believe that not only is the Earth hollow underneath, they believe that there is an ancient civilization of almost like cavemen that live under there. They also believe that that could be where the dinosaurs are. So I don't know if they've nicked this theory from the Ice Age films. But it is rather bizarre. They don't believe that a comet killed the dinosaurs. They believe that I don't know what, all the dinosaurs on the planet found a hole underneath and living under there now.
The logic behind it is that dinosaurs, like skeletons, are underground.
I don't know if they might do, but it's weird.
I can't see how they just went, yeah, nah, they're alive.
Yeah.
Like,
I think one of the arguments I read is that they believe that we can only dig so far under the ground. And because we can only dig so far under the ground and we've only drilled so far, that they've found something and they can't drill any further. That's their belief. Not the scientific
Bedrock.
belief that if we, like Minecraft, they've hit bedrock. Not the scientific belief that I'm pretty sure we've drilled as far as we can before it gets too hot for any machine we have to go any further, because the core of our Earth is rather warm. Let's be honest.
it's toasty.
Toasty warm under there.
I think the best way to describe it is during the snow, you would like to be nearer to it.
Yeah, exactly. So the further you go down, the hotter it's going to get.
Yeah.
So if we go down a couple kilometres or a couple miles, it might get a little too hot for a drill, especially in an enclosed stone area.
Yeah.
But they believe that we've gone that far, so there
Another
must be an
problem
ancient
with it,
civilization
obviously,
under there.
with digging downwards is oxygen sort of stays at our level.
Yeah,
You keep digging down, carbon dioxide is going to keep going up.
yeah,
You can't send someone that low
no.
because they will just
Yeah,
suffocate.
it is. We're not experts in the field, but surely it doesn't take a genius
I'm
to understand that
imagining-
because we can't drill that far down
Yeah.
yet, doesn't mean that there's an entire new civilization living under the earth.
What I'm trying to think is, like, normally they're based on something. Like a conspiracy theory is based on some sort of fact, not fact, but a truth or a sort of a misled idea. Something that makes sense when you think about it, but you look a bit deeper and it's all just a bit of baloney.
Yeah.
But I can't think of what started that.
No, it's funny you'd say that because the next conspiracy theory on our list is completely off of uneducated guesses, and there is no fact behind it at all. And if you think there is fact behind it, you just it might spark some. We might have some listeners, but you need to have a look. Have a look at yourself. Now, this is a very recent one. And it's the theory that went around social media that said that the 5G towers cause COVID, or have caused COVID. Now, before we start anything, I'd like to establish my very, very simple argument and explanation for why that is completely false. So I will start off by saying that COVID has confirmed cases in 165 different countries worldwide. 165 different countries.
Yep.
Now, for that theory of 5G towers to cause COVID to be anywhere near fact, there would need to be 5G towers in every single one of those countries to cause people to get ill. Now, explain to me why 5G towers, a relatively new phenomenon here, giving you faster internet speeds, has only managed to reach 81 countries. Doing my research, this took me a whole of 10 minutes to find out that there is actually only 5G towers in 81 different countries across the world.
I'm surprised. That seems quite a bit.
Yeah, and it is, but it's getting bigger and bigger. More and more countries are getting faster internet speeds for their mobile data. But how has 165 countries got confirmed cases of COVID if only 81 have got 5G towers? Something smells fishy to me there.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I've got one. I've got an idea. Small countries, 5G towers near the edge of the country.
Carl, you could be onto something there. You should be a conspiracy theorist. No, it is a baloney bloody conspiracy theory.
There's not really even much to talk about with this. I
is.
mean, other than the fact that 5G is radiation is not really got anything to do with the
Well, but
coronavirus.
it
Like,
doesn't
how
even release
can-
that much radiation. I saw a post on Facebook, Kurt.
I
it was
know, but that's like when it
yes.
came out, the big thing was radiation.
It causes radiation. No. Yeah,
Like,
piss off.
I'm sorry, but COVID isn't.
Yeah, and
radiation.
even ignoring that, again, by scientific fact, it doesn't produce anywhere near enough radiation to even be illegally put in these countries. They are mass produced in every big town and city across the UK, to give people faster internet speeds, do you think if they produced enough radiation to cause illness, or enough radiation to defy the laws of science and give you a virus,
It's not Chernobyl, is it? At the end of the day.
it wouldn't be legal to put in all these countries? It is baloney. I saw a post on Facebook here, so let's just establish here that people think that these things produce radiation around the 5G tower that will cause you to catch COVID. Now, you'd think that that's got quite a big radius. If you're within a certain radius of the 5G tower, you'll catch COVID. I saw a post on Facebook. It had a million likes. This was one of the main reasons I took myself off of Facebook, because I was getting into arguments with people on this comment section. There was somebody who put a photo, genuine. He was a genuine believer of a 5G tower with fences around it. And he went, look at the 5G tower. Next to it was a nice big oak tree. Now, one side of the tree had lost its leaves, or most of its leaves, and the other side had some leaves left. It was noticeable. His argument that was this side of the tree is facing the 5G tower, and look what's happened to its leaves. So that must mean that the 5G towers are dangerous because it's made the tree lose its leaves. Now,
Right.
I just thought in my head, just did a bit of mental guessing, going by the photo, that tree was probably not even 10 metres away from the fence that surrounded this 5G tower. It's probably 20, 30 metres away tops. Tell me how this thing is meant to mass cause COVID in a country, but
Hasn't annihilated a tree.
but it only annihilated half a tree that was 30 metres away.
Well, trees, I remember from Lord of the Rings, are pretty strong.
So obviously, by scientific fact here, radiation obviously causes viruses, obviously, because, you know, that's
And
logical.
as we know, viruses equals losing leaves.
Yes,
on your
and
trees.
because these 5G towers cause so much radiation that they defy scientific law and give you viruses, they also cause trees to lose their leaves. But what he forgot to say, Kurt, is not only that the other side of the tree has all of its leaves, but there was some bushes
No.
going around the back end of the fence. Some bushes with leaves on it, nice green leaves. They were half the distance away from this 5G tower. Lovely leaves on them. Lovely leaves. Bushes completely fine.
They're artificial. That's what it is.
Must be, because this tree had lost half its leaves on its side. It's just a fucking coincidence.
People baffle me.
It is absolutely baffling. We need to stop talking about it because it's getting me vexed. Let's
I
move
can
on
tell, you're going red.
to probably the. I'm going to go to the bottom of our list here.
Okay.
To the last one on our list, because the other ones they're quite argumentative. You could argue for some
Does
of
that
them.
mean we're not covering them?
No, we will cover them, but we're going to leave them for last.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about the last and probably the silliest of
Oh,
the.
this is
Oh, yeah. So there is a group of people, a small group of people. They're nowhere near as big as your flat earthers. They're nowhere near as big as your hollow earthers or your 5G conspiracists. But this one says that, and this I'm being 100% honest here. People believe that the elite of this world, your dictators, your presidents, your prime ministers, your royal families, your CEOs of big corporations, they believe that they are reptilian aliens from outer space.
yeah. Well, there's got to be some sort of. Why has he thought? I know
what
the
have I written
geezer
here?
as well. The geezer who came up with this theory has actually proven a lot of stuff, a lot of other theories to be true.
I've got a
he's,
paragraph here that I've taken off the internet. Let me read this first. So this conspiracy theory is called Reptilian Elite, and it says the reptoid hypothesis is a conspiracy theory which advances the argument that reptilian humanoids live amongst us with the intention of enslaving the human race. It has been championed by former BBC sports presenter David Icke.
Icke.
That's it. Who believes the likes of Bob Hope, members of the royal family, and former US presidents George W. Bush and Bill Clinton are part of the Anunnaki race, who come to Earth for monatomic gold. That's what apparently they come for. Critics accused Icke of anti-Semitism, alleging that his talk of reptiles was code for Jews. But he clarified that the lizards he referred to were literal and not metaphoric. So he's come up with this hypothesis that some of the world's biggest elites are aliens disguised as humans to enslave the human race. And people have turned around and thinking he's trying to be a bit of a racist, which I wouldn't be surprised about.
Thing is, as I've said, I've listened to. He was on True Geordie's podcast.
Yeah.
I've listened to him talking about.
Whoa. You mean you listen to other people's podcasts, Kurt?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Don't you listen to the Happy Hour podcast, Alex?
We're not talking about that. Okay, move on.
So I listened to him on the True Geordie podcast. It would have been ages ago, over a year, I think. Now
Yes.
he did it, and obviously I watched it when it came out, and like they didn't touch on this because obviously his biggest one that people just sort of take the mick out of.
Yeah.
Like not a lot of people have him on podcasts and they just go like, "Oh, you're stupid."
Yeah.
And
You're an idiot.
like that. It's quite common, but he does have a lot of other theories that are almost like they make sense.
Mm.
But obviously, this one's just the furthest one that's just out there. But I can't. It doesn't make sense to me.
No,
To
it
me,
doesn't make
no.
any sense.
It's just he's chatting a bit of wet. That's
A
like
whole lot of wet.
a whole lot of wet. He's chatting a storm drain.
I don't even know what to explain about this one. I don't know half as
I
much
can
about
understand, he doesn't like the elite, as he puts it.
Yes.
Like,
And there's another conspiracy theory on this that will sort of, it doesn't call them reptiles, but it will talk about it in a different way. But where does that even come from? Yeah. To say that the elite are aliens from outer space that want to enslave the human race it's just I mean I've got nothing more to say about it. I just wanted people to maybe have a giggle about what some of these idiots think. Right, the next one, Kurt.
all right.
We're going to move on to the Illuminati.
Illuminati.
Now, this is a rather large conspiracy. Lots of people have heard of the Illuminati.
Triangles.
Yes.
Pythagoras
Now,
theorem.
the Illuminati is real, not to the extent that people think it is.
Well,
But in the
it was
1800s, there was a group of people who called themselves the Illuminati, and they discussed world problems. And it was not what they believe to be now, which is a group of the world elite, like the reptilian hypothesis. It is a group of elite that come together and dictate the world. So you've got your biggest leaders; they all come together and they talk about stuff.
Yeah.
The definition I've got off of Google says the Illuminati is said to be made up of politicians, bankers, business moguls, and celebrities. It's a shadowy group controlling the world, according to bonkers claims. So the idea is that the group of the biggest politicians, the biggest leaders across the planet come together and talk about whole world issues and sort stuff out. And it sort of leads on to the next bit as well, in that they reckon that all the decisions are made by a higher power, like a darker power that decides everything across the planet.
It's sort of the biggest thing at the moment is pop culture. Like all the you got like Beyonce doing the all-seeing eye.
Yes.
All the people just doing that weird thing.
Yeah, we're trying thing.
It's weird that they do it.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's got, I don't know.
You can't quite giggle at this conspiracy theory because it is. I'm not going to say it is true because I don't believe it's true, but it is bizarre in the fact that it's almost believable. It's almost believable that it's not hard to believe that the world's biggest politicians and the richest people and the most famous people come together and run the planet how they would want to, especially looking at nowadays and all the shite that's going on and the wars and rules are being dictated across the planet. It is bizarre.
It is very bizarre.
It is bizarre. I think this moves nicely onto the next one we're going to discuss is 9/11. Now this is a bit of a deeper subject because this hit home for a lot of people. I mean, I was 1 year old when 9/11 happened. Well,
you were how old?
1 September.
I thought you said 9. I was going to say, I don't think you were.
No, September the 11th, 2003. I'm pretty sure it was. I would have been one. It would have been one. It is. I mean, even now, considering I didn't personally experience none of my family members experienced it, nobody anywhere near me experienced it. Like personally, just even now, seeing footage of it on TV and on the internet, it is shocking, even today, to see what happened at 9/11. Now, there is a group of people who believe that 9/11 was an inside job. Now, we've all heard it. We've all heard people arguing it. You would like to think, for moral reasons, that it was not. That it was a group of extreme religious extremists practicing what they thought was their religion, and that was that. But this conspiracy theory claims that it was an attack planned by the US government. People who pull apart some of the footage of the Twin Towers falling and say that it was a controlled demolition, and they reckon that it shouldn't have happened, and all sorts. And I'm not going to touch on the scientific side because I don't know what the melting point of steel is. I don't know how.
Yeah,
I know we've had a conversation about it.
Yeah, I've said to him before. My teacher at college.
Yeah.
He knows his bricks, and he was talking to us about it, and he said that there's this very clear why they fell, in his opinion. Obviously, he said that the way that the bricks were laid were on like a stack bond, basically, which means if you ram something into the side of one of it, the entire building's structure is going to cave in on itself.
Yeah.
And obviously there was like still support beams and loads of other stuff, but it could be true, could be not.
Yeah.
I don't know. You don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, neither of us. So you probably know a little bit more about it working with buildings. I don't know anywhere near. I don't know anything about it. It would make almost sense to say that the plane a huge passenger plane hitting the side of a building would sort of compromise the structural integrity of the building enough to make it fall. But there are people who believe that it was an inside job. Now, to further on, we'll talk to the last conspiracy theory, which is mainly based on 9/11 being an inside job, is a conspiracy theory people call false flag. Now, this is a very, very interesting one, and it basically discusses that. I'll read out what I got off of the internet here. It says that the false flag theorists see darker forces behind whatever sinister world events are taking place. They believe events such as gun massacres and terrorist attacks are staged to make it appear as if other groups designed and carried out the event, in effect planting a false flag at the scene. In the wake of the 2013 Boston Marathon bombings, Dan Bidiondi, a radio host on right-wing conspiracy network InfoWars, suggested that the atrocity was in fact a staged attack to take our civil liberties and promote homeland security. The false flag concept can be virtually applied to just about any world event. The 9/11 attacks, so some believe, weren't carried out by Al-Qaeda, but the Bush administration as an excuse for the war in the Middle East. Now, that furthers the inside job of 9/11 a little bit further, in that it suggests that not only did the US government do it, but that they had reasons behind it, in the fact that it was a reason they did it. They blamed it on Al-Qaeda. They blamed it on the Middle East so that they could start a war.
See, I think there's two that I've got two examples of. Obviously, the first one, Nazi Germany, when they burnt down, I can't remember the name of the building. Was it the Reich?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Reichstag?
Something like that. Yeah.
Well, they burnt that down, didn't they? And they blamed it on one of the other wings to give Hitler power to basically start the war.
Yeah. It's
invade.
That
one's quite a popular one.
Yes.
And then recently, Operation Northwoods. I don't know if you've heard about this, Alex.
No.
So America came out and said in 1962 there was a proposal from the CIA and other US governments to stage and actually commit terrorism attacks against military and civilian targets to fuel a war against Cuba. And this was America.
Yeah.
They released this.
Yes. It's mad. Like you said, there is it isn't just a believable theory, because stuff like this has happened before, like you said, in World War II with Nazi Germany. There's probably hundreds of cases you can see of governments pinning events on other countries, on other people, in order to fuel their own desire to start a war or start something. It's happened before and it's been proven. This theory is basing it off of some of the biggest events that are believed to be accorded by other people. Now, obviously, you have got the side of the fact that apparently Al-Qaeda had come out and claimed the attacks, the terrorist attacks you see now. Yeah. As tragic as they are, most of them are usually claimed by a terrorist group, because at the end of the day, if that terrorist group did perform that act of terror, it has no effect on people if they do not claim it. Because they do a shooting, the whole idea is they want people to be scared. If they performed a shooting, if they performed a stabbing, if they performed a terror attack and didn't then claim it as theirs, nobody's going to be scared of them because nobody knows who's done it. So, but at the same point, you know, it could have very much been staged in the fact that the US government came up with the idea to blame it on Al-Qaeda, and then to further that knowledge, to tell them that, oh, Al-Qaeda have claimed it when maybe they didn't.
Like, I'm scrolling through it at the moment, and I'm literally reading the document. 1962, it's been unclassified, and it was a proposal to John F. Kennedy that he rejected, of them going and attacking their own cities, their own military, just to start a war with Cuba.
Yeah, well, there was a big war going on there, wasn't there? With Cuba and America, wasn't there? So
they definitely thought about it.
Yes, yeah. And to be fair, the dictator of Cuba at the time, what was his name?
Castro.
Yeah, he was a bit of an absolute nutter.
True.
So people would have believed it. People would have believed if there was a bomb dropped on a US city, people would have believed it was Castro that done it.
But it wouldn't have been.
Yeah, at the same point, it makes you think, because if people have done it in the past, people can do it again. Exactly, it just makes you think of what events have happened that could possibly have been that. And how many wars have broken out in Iraq? How many wars have broken out in Afghanistan, Iran? All of these things over religious bases, over money, that have spurred from these huge terrorist attacks, have spurred from the United States invading the Middle East because they had the biggest terrorist attack on US soil, on world soil happen. They declared war, and that has spiked so many different wars from it. You know, you've got the world changed after 9/11. Travel changed. So many things changed because of it. It's been a big influence. So it does make you think as to what the actual reasons behind it. I'm not going to say I believe that is true, and I'd like to think that the original reason is there because it is hopefully the most believable, but you never know.
You don't know.
You never know.
You never know.
I think it'd be a good idea. Oh God, there's a bit of noise going on outside, isn't there, Kurt? Jesus,
yes, there is.
Right. Yeah, I think it's probably a good idea if we move on to something a bit happier, maybe.
Well, before we do,
okay.
You know, I've got one more.
Yeah.
The Princess Diana death.
Oh no.
Now, there are a lot of reasons, like a lot of different conspiracy theories about why, how. People say, you know, it was the Queen.
Yeah.
You know, that's probably the biggest one. But there's one that I found, which was that there's a chance Diana was pregnant with Mohammed Al Fayed, son or daughter.
Yeah.
He was a part of the Egyptian royal family, I believe. And it wouldn't have been acceptable for an Egyptian Muslim to eventually be the stepfather for the future of the King of England or something along those lines. Like
it is. It's very political, the royal family, and I can almost believe that because
the thing is with the royal family, they are just
odd, very odd. There's a lot of rules.
There are a lot of royals, and
well,
I don't.
Lots of normal people liked Princess Diana because she was very normal, and the royal family didn't like that, which is why there's a lot of conspiracies behind it. Because she was a very normal,
outgoing.
Yeah, she was a very normal. Appeared all over the place in the media, sort of. So it would make sense if the royal family wanted to get her off a bit here.
Yeah, like,
And if that is true, to say that she was pregnant as well, that is
Be
even
mad.
more a reason to well,
especially with an Egyptian Muslim.
yes, it wouldn't have been acceptable for the royal family, would it? Well, let's go on to a bit of a happier topic here.
Happy.
I think coming to the end of our podcast, it's probably good to start on our little sports section here, considering that England had a bit of success this weekend. So we've got the last second. Yeah, well, in the end, we ended up beating them, but we had a good game. Bonus point win against Italy. Now, one of the highlights of that game, there's two highlights I wanted to see. I'm assuming you obviously watched the game, Kurt.
I did.
First of all, let's discuss that Johnny May try. Oh my God, it's something out of the NFL, Kurt. It's something out of the NFL. What do you think about it?
It was an amazing try. Let's be honest. There was no doubting.
Yeah.
It was a quality try.
When you talk about good tries in rugby, you usually look at the good team plays, are right up the field, lots of passing, lots of kicking. This wasn't all that fancy. It was quite impressive, but it was just the finish that Johnny Super May has put on that ball. He's run into the corner. He is running across the touchline. Now in rugby, it's not the same as football. As in the ball in football, the ball has to be in play. Your foot can be out. If the ball's in play, you can kick it. In rugby, if any part of the ball carrier is in touch or on the line, even
or on
if
the
it's
floor,
just a stud,
as well.
on the floor, he's out. So we've got the ball in hand and he's running on, literally skidding across the touchline. This Italian player comes along, tries to cut low and drop him out to touch, and Johnny Mays hurdled him, jumped up, legs flung round to the side. His body's out of touch, but it hasn't touched the ground yet, and he's dropped down. I mean, if you want to have a look, go on the England Rugby's Instagram page, Facebook page, anything, and find a photo, and he's dropped around and he's put the ball down before his legs go out to touch, and it was a phenomenal finish from him. Absolutely phenomenal.
It was top draw.
Top draw. The other thing I wanted to mention is one of my faves, probably my idol as a back rower at the moment, my young idol, and that is Jack Willis, the Wasps back rower. Now, he's impressed for the last 2 seasons. He has been phenomenal, and I think anybody who watches rugby can say the same. Last year, he had the most turnovers out of any... He had more turnovers last year than the 3 people below him in that table did combined. He had ruined everyone at turnovers. He was 20 years old. He was up there in the top 5 for tackles. He was up there in the top 5 for meters made. He is brilliant, and he made his Six Nations debut yesterday, and he came on in the 59th minute, and he came on, first touch of the ball, and he scored a try. Now, unfortunately, that was very quickly ended with 5 minutes later. I haven't quite heard what is wrong with him yet, but I don't know if you saw the injury. It was sickening. He's got himself over the ball after scoring a try on his first touch of the ball in his Six Nations debut. The ball gets kicked back and he comes across. He makes a tackle. He gets back up on his feet perfectly. Textbook. He's about to do a Jack Willis specialty over the ball, nice and low, to turn it over. And this Italian player's come in and he's got a brilliant body position. He's gone to clear Jack out and he's rolled over to his side. Unfortunately, his left leg wasn't moving and he's rolled over to the side over his left knee, and his left knee has stayed still, and it has very much been fucking mutilated.
Yes.
The sad thing about it is that he's 21 years old. He's a massive prospect, and only 3 years ago now, he was out for more than a year with a tear in his ACL on the same knee. Now, it's the sport we play, but looking at, if that is his ACL again, and you could hear on the... That's how bad it was. I know there was no supporters in the ground. You could hear the scream of him when he got rolled off of that ruck, and it took a couple of minutes. They stretched him off on the back of a van off the pitch. It was sickening. If that is his ACL again, that could be the last time we see him play rugby. At 21 years old, he's such a big prospect. He's one of the best back rowers in the world already at 21 years old. He was going to be massive. And to see that happen, I wish him all the best. He's probably not going to listen to this, obviously, but I wish him all the best. I hope that it's not worst case scenario, even if it is out for a season and you can get back to it. I would not want to. I'm not a Wasps fan. I'm actually the opposite. I support Northampton Saints, which is a big rival of Wasps now. But I'd love to see him recover from this, and I'd love to see him back in the England setup because he's a great player, and it was upsetting to see it happen to him. Now, the EPL, Kurt, how's Premier League, Fantasy League going this week?
Not great for me. Man, you are currently losing to West Brom.
Oh my God, no way.
Yeah, I had a look a second ago.
Oh no, I've put Bruno as my bloody
captain
this week.
Yeah, so not great. It's only 41 minutes in, so
yes.
I'm hoping for a comeback. But you never know. Yeah, I'd say last week, a pretty good week.
Yep.
Pretty good overall week. You know, I'm still leaving you in the dust.
Yeah.
So
I can't really tell. Am I climbing on Victor? Or I'm not.
I think
sure.
you are.
I'm gaining on Victor this week. I'm on 23 points. He's on 21. So I'm still gaining on Victor, but it's not looking well. Looking well. There's not much to say about that. I think a great place to finish our podcast this week is with the all famous news and fact of the week. Now, I always hide this from you to the end because I want to get your genuine reaction. Now, the news of this week you already know about. There was a Twitter beef going on. Weetabix.
Oh, yeah.
Posted.
I showed you it.
Yes, they posted a photo with beans on their Weetabix, promoting that people should stop using bread as toast to have beans on.
Oh.
But instead use Weetabix now. Thinking about it, Weetabix is just made of wheat. So it's sort of, it's not the weirdest thing I've ever heard, but just the thought of having beans on wheat and dry Weetabix, it's just gross. And anyone who's seen it, go on Twitter and look. There is polls and polls of massive corporations just taking the absolute piss out of them. It is great. It is so funny. It's a great poll, isn't it, Kurt? Can you go on Twitter now and just have a look what some of the best replies they've got on there?
I'll have a little look. There was some quality ones. There really
KFC's was Nando's.
Everyone was just
even Heinz replied. Heinz baked beans. It was very odd.
Weetabix and beans.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's so wrong.
So very wrong. Who thinks about that?
Sainsbury's commented on it, saying beans have no authority here. No authority at all. So I think that covers up.
Yes.
You know, Domino's, pineapple on pizza is the most controversial food ever. Weetabix, hold my spoon. You know, like I'm not going to go through too many. Like I think that covers it well enough. Like it is. I think we made the wrong poll last week. We shouldn't have spoken about that. We should have spoken about Weetabix and beans.
I think that would have only.
They would have called us crazy.
If you have ever had beans on Weetabix, please drop us a message. We would love to get you on the podcast, and we would love to rip into you for an hour. We would make a special episode just for you, just to get ripped into. What a weird
thing is, I don't even like cereal, so to me, Weetabix, I don't like Weetabix. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you're weird.
Weetabix is boring anyway. Boring as hell. Right. Last but very not least, Kurt, you're about to hear the fact of the week now. I did have one.
We still have another section.
What's
you
that?
Are forgetting. WandaVision.
Oh, let's talk about that.
Talk about now?
Yes.
Okay.
Spoiler alert. Skip to the end if you don't want to hear it.
Don't skip to the end.
Well, we're almost at the end, so
don't skip to the end. Rewind to the beginning. Listen to it all through again.
Yes.
While
you watch WandaVision, and then come back and listen to the spoilers.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it yet, it's been out for 2 days. What are you doing? WandaVision, episode 6.
Yeah, 6.
I'll tell you what, it was a little bit boring through the start, until Vision started noticing everyone being
I'd say
weird.
it was, I wouldn't call it boring. I'd say it was trying to figure out what the hell Pietro was doing there. And there
was a bit of controversy in that he was talking to her. He seemed to be the only person in there who knew what Wanda was doing.
Well, think about it. That Agnes was really weird as well.
Yes, she was. It is weird. Vision
And-
finds out what is going on with Wanda and this, and when he tries to escape, he's almost poofing away as he leaves.
I don't know
the
if you
force field.
realised. Do you remember Vision? I think it was like the episode before that, or might
Yeah.
be the one before that. He mentions there are no kids.
Yeah,
That Halloween episode. How many kids were there?
yeah. That's a good point. Actually, kids appeared.
And
It's-
then that's
she's
what
adapting
Pietro
it.
was
She's
asking, wasn't
she's
it?
adapting it.
It
Yes,
was like,
and
how?
when Vision
Where'd you get it from?
Vision figures out that he's in this sort of force field, and he tries to escape, and he tries to talk to the people outside. There's a bit of controversy going on with the sword people outside, because the good ones are trying to fix the situation, whereas there seems to be like a secret background plot going on with the sword employees
To take out.
to bomb this and get rid of Wanda and Vision, which clearly isn't going to work because Wanda's and Vision are strong as shit. And it ends with Wanda getting rather pissed off, and this force field, like this dome that turns everything
Expanding.
into a sitcom, expands more than just
After
the Westview.
Vision nearly kills himself.
Yes, trying to escape.
save the people.
Yeah.
He wasn't trying to escape.
Well, he was trying to
save.
tell them to help the people inside. So I'm excited to see what happens next.
I am as well. I think there's 9 episodes
Yes,
overall.
it is getting heated, Kurt.
Now, have you seen any conspiracy theories about WandaVision?
No, I have not.
I've seen a few.
Yep.
There's a few saying that Mephisto, which is like the devil in
Yes.
the MCU,
Yeah.
could be Agnes.
Oh.
That's one I heard. And
Yep.
another one was it could be Petra. Because they kept, like, Pietro never saw, like, Wanda never saw Pietro die,
No.
but she saw him dead
Yes.
in the thing, but she never see him get shot.
No.
She never knew that. So how did Pietro just know to turn into that when she wasn't looking?
Yeah, that's
And stuff
Is-
like that. Pietro doesn't know himself.
no. It's
People
there's a
say-
lot of loopholes, and I love Marvel because this isn't just
So
like
many Easter eggs.
it's not like coincidence. This stuff is planned. This stuff is trying to make us think. It is good. I'm excited to have this discussion next week because it's going to be.
I really want Doctor Strange to appear.
Yes.
Really do.
That'll be. I'm hoping the last couple episodes this will move straight onto the new films and new TV. Well, they announced the new Marvel TV show coming out in March, didn't they? Captain
Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Winter Soldier and the Falcon, which will be good. Should hopefully especially in the comics, they take on a rather large role now after Captain America. Oh, sorry, that's a spoiler if you haven't seen Endgame now.
Why are you listening?
What are you doing? Captain America almost retires, doesn't he? He gets old and grows old. He goes back in time and grows old with his wife, and he passes his shield onto the Falcon.
The Falcon.
And they become a bit of a partner. They don't really like each other, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So I'm excited to see the
They do. I feel like
sort of they have a bit of backlash between each other at them, especially in this new TV
they
show.
have banter.
It is. We'll see. It's going to be good to see them.
It will be an entertaining.
This story. It should be a good
Thing
TV
is,
show. Something to look
like,
forward to in the lockdown.
If
Eh?
someone asked me, what my favourite Avengers are, I would never say either of them.
No.
Certainly,
No.
I wouldn't have said Wonder or Vision either, but
No.
I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, that is very good. It is very good. Okay, Kurt. Fact of the week.
Fact of the week.
Now, I did have one, but it was a little bit boring. I'll say it. I read somewhere that the New England State University conducted conducted some research that proved that you were 2 times more likely to die from using a vending machine than you were to die from a shark.
I wonder how many people have actually died from a vending machine.
Yeah, well, it must be more than sharks. I wonder how they investigated that.
Problem is, though, is that there are probably a lot of people that have never been near a shark.
Yeah, that is true.
And we've all been near a vending machine.
Yes. Well, it's this fact is going to be. My mum told me this one yesterday,
Yep.
and I think it will blow your mind because it blew my mind.
Mine
Now-
blown.
I'd like to think that the biggest that most people think that the fruit an orange was named an orange because
It's
it was
colour.
orange. But what I found out, Kurt, is that it's not that way round at all.
What?
And that the colour orange, the colour, wasn't called orange until they discovered the fruit. When that colour appeared anywhere, they described it back then. I don't know how many hundreds of years ago this was, but they described it as a reddy yellow. The colour orange wasn't actually called orange until they discovered the fruit. So it's the other way around to people. What people think, people think that they called the orange because it's orange, but no, they called the colour orange because of an orange. So they named the fruit and then decided,
mad.
That's got its own specific colour, so let's call it orange.
That is
baffling, mate. Blew my mind.
I am intrigued.
It is rather good that. Well,
that is a fact and a half.
I think we're coming to the end of episode 3, Kurt.
I think we are. Can't think of anything else to add. If you got to the end, would you like to comment?
Weetabix.
Weetabix?
Weetabix.
Weetabix, yeah. We'll go with Weetabix.
Weetabix. Comment Weetabix if you get to the end of this podcast.
And if you did, good on you.
Yes, well done.
Also, I must say, if you got to the end of it on Valentine's Day, you're my Valentine.
Yes. Please be our Valentines. We both thank you all for what? Well, not watching, listening.
You're
to
watching
our podcast
video.
It's thank you for listening to our podcast. If you've got any questions, we'll probably have another poll out this week.
Any ideas?
Keep an eye out.
Topics? Anything you want us to talk about?
Yeah, we're open to anything. So if any of you if you enjoyed, please like, please subscribe, please comment. It helps us out majorly.
It does.
If you could share, even if it's just share it with one of your close friends. Hopefully they listen to it and we can spread our.
If you're a real G though, you'll put us on your story.
Yeah, you'll share it. Real G's.
Real G's.
We thank you all for listening, and we'll speak to you next week.
Yep.
Adios.
Till next Sunday, the
21st. Adios.
Adios, amigo.